Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at SSUC, Southminster Steinhauer United Church in Edmonton. Wherever you're joining us from this morning, welcome. From your homes in the Edmonton or Saskatoon area, in Kelowna or Toronto or Fredericton or Black Point, New Brunswick or Edinburgh, Scotland, wherever you are in the sanctuary of this present moment, we are together in this time as spiritual seekers united in community. Joining me here in this room is my teammate Chris, along with Andrea and Brett providing technical support today, Deb on the piano, Anne on the sax, Dawn on the violin, Janet on cello, Catherine on bass, and Pam to the power of 2 helping us with vocals. We're concluding our series today, the ABCs for Deeper Living, as we've journeyed from A to Z, from Awaken to Zoom. Today we'll explore the spiritual practice of zooming. So wherever you are, whatever your age or stage, your gender identity, your sexual orientation, however it is that you name your deepest hungers, whatever joys or grief claim you in this moment, whatever enchantment and despair you hold in this day, whatever fears and longings, we hope that as we sing and pray and meditate and seek wisdom and hold stillness with one another this day, that we will each find what we need for this day, that we will find our daily bread.
Good morning, everyone. Invite you to light your candles with us this morning and to be present with us in your own space, wherever you happen to be this morning. We don't need to be in a building together on a Sunday morning to honor our land and honor our space and be with one another. We make special, we make sacred that which we honor. And so this morning, let's honor wherever we are. Let's light our candles this morning as we light our candle here. This morning, a request from some of you to reprise a meditation we offered a few weeks ago. And this in the week of Earth Day, we are going to engage in a meditation on the land, a meditation on the earth, in which we can celebrate that together. I invite you first and foremost to be comfortable, to take a few deep breaths, and to sink into your chair and feel the ground below your feet. We're invited to close our eyes. If we keep them open, it doesn't matter whether they're open or closed. Either way, we're using our vision, our mind's eye this morning as we imagine that we are moving our vision down through our feet, through whatever surface we're on, through the carpet, through the wood, through the steel, through the concrete of our foundations. And as we imagine ourselves moving our vision further and further down, we get to the soil, to the sand, to the clay, to the rock that lies beneath us. Can you imagine that? And now, we know as we hold that in our mind that this is our earth. This is our planet. Imagine all that it has seen, the cooling magma of a new planet, the erosion that would create soil and rock, the perfect temperature for vegetation and growth, the precise conditions for creatures to evolve, creatures of land and sea and sky. Before there was any human, there was this planet. Allow yourself to feel the qualities of the earth that you most need to draw upon right now. Feel its permanence, its reliability. Feel its fragility and its reliance. Feel its mutuality, its sustainability. We honor the humans, of course, that have known this rock and this soil. We honor the First Peoples, our Treaty 6 friends, and many First Nations who have called this land home. We honor our ancestors of all kinds who found their way to this place, who knew this soil and this land, who worked it, who lived it, who called it home. And we remember and honor the life that this earth has seen, every piece of it, every green and brown and purple and colorful thing that this earth has seen and grown. And as we come again to the place where we are, with a profound appreciation for this planet and this home of ours, we honor too all the life that is to come in this place, and the great pleasure and privilege it is to witness it all.
These are the words of Alberto Rios in his poem, "We Are of a Tribe." We plant seeds in the ground and dreams in the sky, hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the upstretched limbs of the other. It has not happened yet. We share the sky, all of us, the whole world. Together, we are a tribe of eyes that look upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. The earth beneath us moves quiet and wild, its boundaries shifting, its muscles wavering. The dream of sky is indifferent to all of this, impervious to borders, fences, reservations. The sky is our common home, the place we all live. There we are in the world together. The dream of sky requires no passport. Blue will not be fenced. Blue will not be a crime. Look up. Stay a while. Let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here. In the words of this contemporary poet, may we find wisdom for our living.
Earth Day was this week. When we talk about Earth Day, it gives us a chance to think about things that are much bigger than ourselves. When I think about me, I think about what I eat, the people around me. I think about the work I do. I think about things I like to do and the things I like to think about. When you think about you, I bet you think about some of the same things. But there's much more in our world than that. Earth Day helps us think about how we're part of something much bigger. And here's an example using Google Earth. This is a weird picture, don't you think? Do you know what it is? This is the roof of our church. And it looks weird because it's hard to get close up from space, which is where this picture was taken. Well, this is the best Google Earth does anyway. It's blurry because focusing in so close isn't so great. It's not great to just think about ourselves. So we zoom out. Look, there's people all around us. We have neighbors that are close by. People living and working and playing that are just like us. People that have wonderful differences from us too. And when we zoom out some more, we can see we're parts of lots of neighborhoods. These are places I go all the time, right around the church. I know some people in these houses, and I visit some of the shops in this picture too. But when we zoom out some more, we can see half our city. There's all of the south of Edmonton. People doing all kinds of things that we can't even see. I recognize some of those roads because I drive on them almost all the time. But look what happens when we zoom out again. We can see our whole city and its surrounding areas. I've been to some of these places and some of them not. But as we keep looking broader and wider, we can see our province of Alberta. We can see all of Western Canada. And then zoom out some more. Look, there's our whole country. It's pretty big. I've never been to lots of places in our country. Have you? Then look, all of North America. And when we spin this globe of ours, we can see that we're part of a planet, a whole planet. Oh, look, there's Australia. Oh, and Antarctica. Here comes Africa. And there's Europe way up there. Oh, we're back home again. Thinking about the planet helps me make decisions not just for me, but for my neighborhood, for my city, for my country, for my whole planet. Happy Earth Day, everybody, as we think about Earth Day and our whole planet.
Thank you, Sherry Ann, sharing the beauty of that gift with us from home. These are the words of Mary Oliver in her poem, The Turtle. The turtle breaks from the blue-black skin of the water, dragging her shell with its mossy scoots across the shallows and through the rushes and over the mudflats to the uprise, to the yellow sand, to dig with her ungainly feet a nest and hunker there, spewing her white eggs down into the darkness. And you think of her patience, her fortitude, her determination to complete what she was born to do. Then you realize a greater thing. She doesn't consider what she was born to do. She's only filled with an old blind wish. It isn't even hers, but came to her in the rain or on the soft wind, which is a gate through which her life keeps walking. She can't see herself apart from the rest of the world, or the world from what she must do every spring, crawling up the high hill, luminous under the sand that has packed against her skin. She doesn't dream. She knows. She is part of the pond she lives in. The tall trees are her children. The birds that swim above her are tied to her by an unbreakable string. In the words of this poet of the natural world, may we find wisdom for our living. I want to invite us all to consider those things in the natural world that help us feel connected to all that is, and to take a moment to share with us what it is in nature that reminds you that you're tied with an unbreakable string to the web of life. You can text.
Some writing of Wendell Berry in his writing, Sex, Economy, Freedom, and Community. Consider the lilies of the field are words the gospel writer has Jesus say to his friends, and it's reported that the 19th century poet Emily Dickinson claimed that was the only commandment that she never broke. I don't think it's enough appreciated how much an outdoor book the Bible is. It's a hype-ethereal book, such as Thoreau talked about, a book open to the sky. It is best read and understood outdoors, and the farther outdoors, the better. Or that has been my experience of it. Passages that within walls seem improbable or incredible, outdoors seem merely natural. That is because outdoors we are confronted everywhere with wonders. We see that the miraculous is not extraordinary, but the common mode of existence. It is our daily bread. Whoever really has considered the lilies of the field or the birds of the air has pondered the improbability of their existence in this warm world within the cold and empty stellar distances will hardly balk at the turning of water into wine, which was, after all, a very small miracle. We forget the greater and still continuing miracle by which water, with soil and sunlight, is turned into grapes. From this wise spiritual writer, may we find wisdom for our living.
Do you remember when zoom was a word we used mostly to describe speed? We use it as a verb. We'd say a car zoomed by us. Or do you remember when zoom was a kind of lens we would buy for our camera to help us get that great close-up shot? It would let us see something that was far away as though it was much closer at hand. It was in the midst of anxious times and anxious lives that a first-century teacher proposed a field trip with his closest friends and followers. In a stressful time, in a world that was moving too fast, Jesus of Nazareth, in the world of the story handed down to us, suggests to his friends that it was time to slow down. It was time to be still and quiet. It was time to stop and smell the roses. Although in his first century Palestinian world, it wasn't roses, it was lilies. So in the world of the story, we find him teaching his followers to consider the lilies, to stop, to look, to listen, to pay deep attention to the lilies and give their consideration to this simple flower, not to pick them, not to take them, not to use them, not to decorate with them, but just to consider them. To spend time with them, learning how it is that they push through hard soil, how it is they open to the sun, how it is they lean toward light, and how it is that they don't worry whether they will still be a flower tomorrow. They just rise up and shine in the grace of today. In the midst of a million social problems, of subsistent farmers losing their land and the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, corruption and exploitation, in a time of deep uncertainty, in the angst of being oppressed and occupied by the empire of the day, in the midst of it all, Jesus encouraged his friends to zoom in and focus on their primary scriptures, to read the text, the sacred text of the natural world, to learn from the bees and the butterflies, to allow their attention to be consumed by that which has roots and wings, by ravens and lilies, birds and flowers, to get focused on the lessons that are not online or in the classroom or on the news feed, but to pay attention to the quiet teachers all around us. Because what's on our eyeball has a great capacity to direct our energy. Where we fix our focus determines what we'll see and sometimes what we'll fail to see. So Jesus invites his friends to zoom in on the birds and the flowers, to get beauty on their eyeball instead of fixing their attention on the emperor who has no clothes, and from his accomplices and his soldiers who do his bidding. What's on our eyeball takes up the most floor space in our hearts. In the succinct wisdom of Jesus of Nazareth, he said it something like this: "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." He might just as easily have said, "Where your focus is, there will your captive heart be also." In a very disconnecting time, in a very disquieting society, in a heartbreaking time in history, this first century teacher was drawing on the long wisdom of earth to ground himself and his followers in the old, deep wisdom of the universe, the long witness of life, mired in the impossibilities of their moment, of their economic crisis, of their experience of inexplicable violence and inhumanity. Their teacher invites them to zoom in on the enduring wisdom of the more than human, of rocks and ravens, lilies and lakes, seeds and weeds, turtles and trees, of that which has seen generations of humans come and go, of that which has been here long before us and will be here long after us, of that which has the power to heal our deepest isolation, the disease that comes from seeing ourselves as separate from one another, as separate from the natural world, as something different than air and water, as distinct somehow from the creatures and elements with whom we share this habitat, our home, and on which our lives depend. We are learning in this pandemic time how essential connection is to us. We yearn for conversation, for companionship, for affection. That need has given Zoom a whole new meaning. In addition to its earlier meanings in our language, Zoom as a cloud-based platform for video and audio conferencing has become a way to see and hear and speak to one another in this time of social distancing, in this time of working from home, in this time of continuing to find ways to teach and learn. In our quest for connection, we've made Zoom a household name like Skype and Google and Xerox, and we've made Zooming part of our daily routine. Our hunger for human connection is obvious, but our hidden hunger is less apparent, and it's causing us to starve to death in a supermarket. Just outside our window, just outside our door, there is something in the natural world that has the power to heal our deep loneliness. Something to heal our deep sense of separation from the tribe to which we belong. Something to remind us that we are part of the pond we live in. The tall trees are our children. The birds that swim above us are tied to us by an unbreakable string. From ants to zebras, from A to Z or A to Z, from apples to zucchini, there are countless creatures and teachers to help us find our way home to earth and to one another. This pandemic has pierced any illusions we ever had that we are not all of a tribe. What happens to someone in China happens to us. What happens to someone in the Bronx happens to someone in Buckingham Palace. What happens in one province makes Nova Scotians of us all. When we cut a tree, we bleed. When we spew pollutants into the air, we choke. When we poison our oceans, we poison our wells. In the words of indigenous wisdom, what we do to the web of life, we do to ourselves. In this time, surely we know the wisdom of the poet. Together we are a tribe of eyes that look upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. Look up, stay a while. Let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here. In this uncertain ground on which we stand. In the terror of a tragedy that has taken 23 lives with violence, yes, 23, including the gunman whose life was also taken in violence. And in the midst of a chaotic virus bringing so much fear and grief and loss, surely this is a time to zoom in on what it is we need to stay safe and healthy, to zoom in on the seeds we need to plant and the flowers we need to grow and the ravens we need to watch build their nests, and the trees that before us each day defy gravity in their quest for light. To zoom in on the connections that we need not be distant from, the creatures and elements with whom we need to restore relationship and restore the trust we've broken. To deepen our living by restoring relationship with the natural world and with all the power that has to tell us that we are not alone, we are not lost. And to zoom out into the magnificence of space and see the beauty of our home. This one place we know of that has made our life possible and offers us yet another moment to look up, stay a while, let our breathing slow, and know that we always have a home here. We take time now to remind one another of the things that have taught each of us that we are tied by an unbreakable string.
Good morning again, everyone, and thank you for your responses. You have overwhelmed us with your responses of how you connect and how you connect with all that is and all that will be. I'll read you a few of your texts as you've sent them. I can't promise we'll get to all of them. We'll see how long this takes. But here we are, a few of your responses. The sound of birds, geese, rivers, and trees. Marilyn says, waves crashing on the shore. Christy in Penticton writes, the beautiful plants starting to grow and bloom gives me hope. Oh, I wish, Christy, I wish. Jim offers his thoughts, mountaintops and trickling spring runoffs. Carolyn and Brian in Saskatoon, seeing tulips begin to show and taking walks outdoors, planting seeds. From Debbie in Kelowna, feeling the warmth of the sun and the wind on my face. And Trudy offers the birds that feed in my juniper tree. May writes, water. The snow that melts in Canada and flows to the ocean will become rain that falls on my family in Africa and beyond. Leslie offers, seeing flock upon flock of trumpeter swans flying overhead, our home west of Stony Plain yesterday. Dawn in Saskatoon writes, I feel connected to all that is by water. Lakes, rivers, oceans, rain, drinking water, my body, washed by it, held by buoyancy, nourished by it, swept along in my canoe. Jen says, walking the river valley and seeing the new growth of spring. And Joya offers, new blossoms, life eternally renewing, the wind and rain, cleansing and renewing. And Allison and Alexis have written, the trees I climb are the same that the birds nest in and give us the air that we breathe. Ernie says, the brilliant soft green of new leaves emerging and the gentle fragrant scent of newly plowed soil. I can smell it now if I think about that. Crocuses, tulips, daffodils peeking out of the soil, says Linda. And Tricia offers seeing, feeling, tasting water. Shirley says the sun. And Tom and Rose, also in Saskatoon, have written, the sun rising every morning, the rays of which reach the whole world, the sun reflecting on the ripples of the South Saskatchewan River early in the morning. I just want to get to a few emails as well, because many of you have emailed. Sherry Ann has offered the sound of wind through the trees in the forest. And Cliff has said robins and gophers, to which Rosemary countered scats from coyotes. We all need to be able to eliminate that which is not useful to us, but can assist new growth to plants. I'm sure, Rosemary, I will laugh with you about that later. Thank you for that. There's a few people in this room who've been emailing. Pam has said, water, a lake, a stream, an ocean, it just doesn't matter. My favorite thing. And the other Pam in the room has written, being in a valley surrounded by mountains, laying on a dock and getting lost in a starry midnight. Just a few more emails here. A few of you have written from Saskatoon, and thank you for that. Terry has offered paddling on the rivers and lakes, feeling part of the flow and the beauty and awe of the universe. And Andy and Joanne have written, the many, many birds singing in our farmyard trees every morning. Oh, I wish I could read these all. There are countless ones here. I can't believe you people. Thank you for all your responses. That's really amazing. Lois and John have said, in a week connected to family in Nova Scotia with tears that run down, all of us thinking about the ways we're connected and affected by each other. So thank you all for all those responses, and those of you who texted and emailed. Thank you very much. As we share those moments with each other, we all relate to the little pieces of nature that connect us to that web, and we appreciate how we all feel that connection in different and unique ways. Would you join us now as we offer some prayers for the earth? I will speak these prayers. Please feel free to speak them along with me, or simply read along, or close your eyes and hear this prayer spoken as we join in this prayer for the earth. To bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air, to renew the forests, to care for the plants, to protect the creatures, to celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars. We join with the earth and with each other. To recall our destiny, to renew our spirits, to reinvigorate our bodies, to use resources wisely, to balance life's systems, to honor the land and her people, to build compassionate human community, to heal others and ourselves, to promote justice and peace. We join with the earth and with each other. To remember our ancestors, to plan for our children. With deep gratitude, we join with the earth and with each other.
We're so grateful that you join us in these spiritual gatherings, and many of you join us on Monday afternoons at 3 for conversation. We will gather again tomorrow afternoon at 3. If you didn't receive the link that was in your e-messenger on Friday, please feel free to contact us at one of the ways you see on the screen, and we'll be happy to get a link to you so you can join us as we share conversation and time with one another, checking in and sharing some meaningful discussion in smaller groups and as a whole, 3 o'clock on Monday afternoon. We also thank those of you who are able to continue to support us financially in this time. This is a time in which revenue changes for so many spiritual communities, with groups no longer able to use our facilities and fundraising events not being in a position to happen. And we're grateful for those of you who continue to support us with your gifts of financial support. You can provide a check to us at the church office on Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. in the offering box you'll find in the foyer. You can order grocery cards by emailing the office or by calling the office, and they will be set aside for you in your church mailbox or delivered to you at home. You can donate anytime online at our website, or you can mail a check to us at our snail mail address, which you see on the screen. For all the ways that you support us, and for those who are able to support us with pre-authorized remittances each month, we thank you so much. You make all that we do possible in these days. Thank you. This is a time in our gathering when we change the light. This has been a dark week in our country, in our world. It has been a dark time of shattered hearts, hearts struggling not to become shuttered by heartbreak, inexplicable heartbreak. Over this past week, alongside our grief for victims of COVID-19, we have also grieved with the families who have lost loved ones in Nova Scotia to unspeakable violence. We have lit candles in our windows each night across the country as a sign that light shines even into the deepest darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. Today we send our light to all who are grieving, light that is transformed by the power of our breath into another form of energy. Let's change our light. We send the light of our solidarity and support to all who are hurting. And in particular today, we send the energy of our light to one of these families with whom we have a connection. For many years, we have sung a song written by Emily Kierstead, a retired United Church minister who, along with her husband, Don Murray, have been leaders in progressive spirituality, one that is grounded in the long story of the universe, a profoundly spiritual and cosmic journey. Emily's daughter, Lisa McCulley, an elementary school teacher, a mom, a sister, was killed last weekend in the shooting rampage near her home in Portapique, Nova Scotia. In a few moments, a virtual gathering will begin, a memorial service for Lisa in Truro. We sing today Emily's words as an expression of our solidarity and our deep sadness in this loss. Wherever you are in this moment, join us in singing these words that Emily placed in the world so long ago, as we remember that we too are creatures, cosmic creatures, with stardust in our genes. Today we sing these words as our prayer that we may yet evolve into a more loving, creative, compassionate creature in this cosmic journey we share together.